Well, Bill, we're kind of at an intersection here near one,
Mhm.
and there's quite a bit going on, so we may have some noise in the background.
Yeah, we've experienced a few things.
And I like the stone wall. Looks like it could be a cemetery, but I don't think it is.
No.
So what are you and I, in heaven's sakes, doing here?
Okay. Well, we're here today to talk about Captain John Locke.
Okay.
And on the spot, as you can tell from the plaque here,
Yeah.
not a tombstone, but a plaque, a memorial to him.
Right.
He was killed here by Native Americans.
Yep.
The story is that in August 26, in 1696,
Yep.
he was out here, would have been a marsh in those days,
Yep.
and he was cutting saltwater hay with a sickle.
Yep.
He was fell upon by Native Americans, and they killed him.
Yep.
One story is that he was knocked down. They thought he was dead. One of the Indians came over with the intent to scalp him.
Yep.
Right before the Indian tried to get his scalping there, thought apparently, John rose up with his sickle, and he managed to cut the nose off of that Indian
Yep.
with his sickle before dying.
Well, what I heard, and well, not what I heard, but what I researched, is that first of all, he was captain of the militia,
Yes.
and therefore he sort of was provocative against the natives as well. And I mean, one example that I read about is that he used to go when the canoes weren't being used, he would come and poke holes into them. Now, I mean, that's something that might make you angry. But anyway, apparently when he was attacked, he got the sickle out.
Yeah.
His son was there and perhaps saw this. We don't know this for sure.
Right.
The story could also have come later on from a grandson. But apparently, obviously, someone who had a native had his nose cut off was something that would be noticeable.
Yes.
And in one account that I did read, it was saying that this, was a small area, and that the natives and the settlers did intermix. So it wouldn't have been that surprising to be able to find this man later, and obviously it'd be noticeable. The Native American who did in fact probably kill Locke. So apparently they went and looked for him.
Yes, it's a story they looked for.
Perhaps unsuccessfully, but later on, as you might imagine, this man would stand out with no nose. And apparently either the son or the grandson, we don't know for sure, essentially went and then killed that native. And the problem is, probably was the right guy, but was he? And I guess the story is he was also thrown down into a well.
Well, there's a division there. There's the son who supposedly witnessed the event, the actual killing, found him later, recognized him because he had nose, and then dispatched him.
Yeah.
And then the second story is the grandson.
Yeah.
And he, again, not being sure, he just found an Indian with no nose, apparently.
Yeah.
Assumed or made the assumption. Some say he bragged about her. That's not. Nobody would know that, I guess. But anyway, he killed him.
Yeah.
And he threw him down a well. So we don't know. Obviously, the Locke family carried a grudge for a long time, at least 2 generations on.
Well, I mean, and that's the problem with that era, is on both sides.
Yes.
So anyway, it does lead into a little bit more of the story. And I'd say we might as well go to the cemeteries.
Yes, we'll go up now and we'll visit the Locke Cemetery, where the captain is actually buried.
Okay, let's do it.
All right.
Well, Bill, we're still in Rye, correct?
Yes.
And we are now at the Locke Cemetery, the family cemetery.
Yes.
That much we do know. There's a record for that. Unfortunately, as we look around, difficult to tell which one of these may actually be John Locke's and his wife Elizabeth's gravestones. But this is typical of the time.
Yes.
Would have been very expensive
Yes.
to have a fancy gravestone made, even if they had time and money to do it. As I did pan through the cemetery, and you will see that there are a few actual gravestones and that are engraved, and those actually are much later date in the 1800s.
Right.
Also, you may notice we are in a neighborhood.
Yes. A lot of activity.
A lot of activity going on.
Now, this is take two, right?
Yes, and this is take two. Yes. Now, as we've said right from the get-go, some of the things we're dealing with Captain Locke are difficult to say whether it's fact or legend, so to speak. And we do know this is the cemetery. We do know that he was probably a carpenter. He was credited with framing the first meeting house in Portsmouth.
Mhm.
And so, technically, that's provable.
Yes.
So in that part, we knew he was here. We also know, as we said before, he was a captain in the militia.
Mhm.
And it turns out, I think that possibly his house was even a garrison, for protection against the natives. And of course, at that time, there was a lot of friction between both, and for good reason.
Yeah.
But tell me, what else did he do well?
There's a little interesting story when he moved here from Strawberry Bank or Portsmouth to Sandy Beach Rye. He either thought he was or he claimed that he was still a resident of Portsmouth, and he continued to pay taxes there, not paying taxes to the town of Rye.
Yeah.
So apparently there was a little bit of trouble there between the town. They labeled him a trespasser, and a squatter. And eventually they settled their differences, and he did become a citizen of Rye.
Yeah.
And he paid his taxes. And it kind of makes him out a little bit like a curmudgeon,
Well, it's kind of interesting in those times that they were already paying taxes.
Yes.
And all of this was still going on. And, you could almost imagine at that time, you could put your house anywhere you wanted. But I guess you still had to pay attention to the local laws.
You did.
All right. Well, what are we going to do now?
Well, now we're going to go up the road here. We're on Locke Road, aptly named. And we're going to go up to Center Cemetery, still in Rye.
Yeah.
And there is another monument there to Captain Locke, and we're going to visit that.
Okay, let's do it. So anyway, here we are at Center Cemetery.
Yes, we're still in Rye.
And we're still in Rye. And we do have a plaque here in the memory of Captain John Locke.
Yeah, this is undoubtedly a monument or a cenotaph that's put up by the Locke family in memorial to John. And the Locke family have a huge family reunion every year. And they gather here at these points at the cemetery and out at Locke Neck.
Yeah.
And if you go online, you'll find all kinds of family photographs taken at this monument. So it's quite interesting.
Well, it sounds like a good and solid family.
Absolutely. He had some interesting ancestors, no doubt, that appreciates their heritage.
Well, I mean, how many of us can really say that our ancestors go way back to the 1600s, and not only that they came over to this continent, but also that the family still lives and has connections to Rye like this, which I think some of them do. Just waving to somebody.
Yeah. It's a beautiful cemetery, and it obviously attracts walkers, joggers, and so there are people passing by occasionally while we're here.
Well, I think we've kind of told the story.
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
But I have a quote here, and have we mentioned that the sickle and the sword?
No, we haven't. No, we want to mention that.
They are in the New Hampshire.
The sickle.
The sickle is.
Yes.
And that's and where is the sword?
In the same place. That's in the New Hampshire Historical Society,
in
which
Concord.
has the the museum in Concord.
Yeah.
Yes, and you can go there and see them. I think the sword may be in storage, but I understand the sickle is on display.
You can see it. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I think what grabs me about this story is, again, the issues of a whole culture showing up here with another culture that was well established and that was here. And this little piece I'm going to read here certainly takes it from the point of view of the settlers, who obviously looked at the natives as perhaps being even a subclass, perhaps, and understandably so from a point of view at that point.
Right.
On the other hand, thankfully, we've come so far that hopefully, and we're not all the way there, but that we respect the idea that all of us are human.
Yes.
And, unfortunately, we do come into conflicts. But at that time, it was very difficult for the two to settle and live together. And this just reflects something that we think is on some kind of a plaque somewhere, but we don't know quite where to find it. But this is about John. His life was long, an eventful one. He had reached his 80 years and 10, and had unquestionably seen the results of his labors, commencing to turn the wilderness to a land of families and settled homes. In place of the wandering tribes of red men, his death, was one of the many sacrifices which are continuously being demanded by the advance of races and the change of conditions, the advance of civilization, and the establishment of a new nation. On one hand, I have a hard time reading that.
Yes.
On the other hand, it obviously is the way they felt, and that was obviously written a long time ago.
Yes.
And I just hope and pray as we evolve as human beings, we can learn to live together. But this is a classic story about the conflicts that took place at that time.
Yes. Yeah, tragedies on both sides.
Tragedy on both sides.
Need to be recognized as a whole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the story tells quite a story. And, obviously, to some degree, it is being told from the settler's point of view. But in any case, I hope Captain John Locke is resting in peace.
Fascinating story.
Yeah.
One that we had missed, and thanks to an unknown person who tipped us off to it.
Yeah, in one of our presentations.
Yeah. So,
we followed up on it.
Well, a little advertisement here might not. First of all, if you like our YouTube videos, please subscribe, comment, put up a thumb. You'll like them. And we do have a book in 2 volumes called Buried in New Hampshire, which is the same name of our YouTube channel.
Yep.
So if you can find these in most bookstores throughout the state. You can buy them online, of course. So in any event, I hope you enjoyed this video, and give us a thumbs up if you can.
Okay. All right.